Millionaire hires a poor single mom to be his fake wife to claim his grandfather's legacy, but her secret rule turns his world upside down. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel is losing traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us. It's quick, free, and allows us to continue bringing you great content. Your support means everything. Let's keep this channel growing collectively. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character. The Blackwell estate glittered under chandeliers worth more than an average house. The annual family gathering had turned into something closer to a courtroom. Victor Blackwell, the 90-year-old patriarch, sat upright despite his frail frame. His voice carried over the grand hall. "My wealth will not pass to a man who cannot build and protect a family. No wife, no legacy." The words hit the crowd like a verdict. Murmurs rippled. Every gaze turned toward Adrian Blackwell, 32, Victor's heir apparent until this moment. Tall, perfectly pressed tuxedo, eyes colder than the marble floor beneath him. A cousin smirked, muttering, "Guess the empire's slipping away. He'll never marry." Adrian's jaw tightened. His silence said more than words. Later that night, he stood alone on the balcony, city lights glittering below like shards of glass. His grandfather's ultimatum replayed in his head. Billions, factories, ships, stock, all hanging by one fragile thread: marriage. He didn't believe in love. He didn't believe in promises, but he believed in control, and he wasn't about to let an empire slip away. Miles away, in a tiny diner that never slept, Elena Carter stacked plates and forced a smile. Her son, Jacob, 10 years old, dozed off in a corner booth, arms curled around a second-hand backpack. The clock ticked past midnight. The tips jar held only coins. Rent was late. Shoes were worn. Dreams postponed again. Elena whispered as she passed by her boy, "One more shift, sweetheart, then we go home." Adrian entered the diner like he owned it. Black tux, loose tie, eyes sharp, scanning. He ordered nothing fancy, just coffee, black. But the way he tapped his pen against the counter precise, deliberate, made it clear this wasn't a casual stop. Elena poured the coffee, trying to ignore the weight of his gaze. "You're a single mother." His voice was calm, cutting. Her spine stiffened. "Excuse me? I saw the boy. He's yours. You're raising him alone." Her throat tightened. "What business is that of yours?" He didn't smile. He didn't flinch. "I need a wife." The tray trembled in her hand. "That's not funny. Not real. Temporary. A contract. You'll play my wife for a few weeks, long enough to convince my grandfather." Elena blinked. Was this a joke? A prank? Adrian slid a sleek black card across the counter. "In return, you'll never scrub dishes or carry trays again. Your son will never know what hunger feels like." Her chest ached. Rent, shoes, medicine, a better life for Jacob all in reach. But her pride flared. "And if I say no?" Adrian's eyes glinted like steel. "Then you keep waiting tables until your body breaks, praying the world gives your boy what you couldn't." Silence, heavy, brutal. Elena's hands shook, not from anger, but behind her anger lived a truth she couldn't ignore. He was offering a way out. 2 nights later, Elena stood in the Blackwell ballroom. She wore a navy dress from a thrift shop, too plain for chandeliers, too humble for jewels. Yet her head was high, her posture firm. She clung to Adrian's arm, the tuxedo sleeve stiff under her grip. Whispers darted across the room like knives. "That's his wife? She looks like the help." Victor will never believe this sham. Victor Blackwell's gaze narrowed as they approached. The old man coughed, then forced his words out like commands carved in stone. "So, you finally brought a wife." Elena's heartbeat thundered. She remembered Jacob's small hands, his voice asking if Santa ever got lost in poor neighborhoods. She lifted her chin, looked the old man straight in the eye. "Yes," she said softly, firmly. "And I love him." The room froze. Adrian's eyes snapped to hers, a flicker of shock breaking through his mask. Those words, unscripted. Not part of their deal. Victor leaned forward, his stare sharp enough to slice through marble. "Then prove it." Elena's lips parted, but no sound came out. Adrian's grip on her hand tightened. He hadn't prepared for this, neither had she. And in that breathless silence, with every eye watching. The entire Blackwell empire now depended on a poor single mom's next move. The ballroom froze after Victor's words. Then prove it. Every chandelier seemed to dim. Every violin string in the corner orchestra fell silent. Elena's throat tightened. She hadn't planned this. Adrian hadn't warned her. Yet every eye in the room hungry, cruel, waiting was locked on her trembling lips. Victor leaned back, his frail chest rising, eyes sharp as ever. Love is not spoken, girl. It is shown. Adrian's jaw tensed, his hand still gripping hers. He whispered, low enough only she could hear. "Don't you dare ruin this!" Her pulse pounded. Ruin this? She was already drowning in whispers. A cousin snickered. "Let's see what the maid can do." Another aunt fanned herself dramatically. "This is humiliating." Adrian straightened, his mask of arrogance never cracking. "Grandfather, this isn't a circus." But Victor raised his hand. The chatter ceased. His voice shook with age but carried like thunder. "If she loves you, let her prove it here, before us all." Elena's knees weakened. Her mind raced. How? What did proving love even mean in a room full of people who despised her? She wanted to run, to grab Jacob and disappear. Yet something rooted her there, the thought of her son, the promise of stability, and a spark of defiance against all those sneering faces. Her heart screamed, "Don't let them break you." So she moved, slowly. Elena turned toward Adrian. Her eyes held his. Steady, despite the storm inside. She lifted her free hand to his chest, feeling the steady rhythm beneath. The crowd gasped. Then, before her courage could vanish, she leaned up on trembling toes and kissed him. Not a timid brush, not a staged act. A kiss that silenced the ballroom with its unexpected fire. For the first time in years, Adrian Blackwell felt control slip through his fingers. He hadn't asked for this, he hadn't rehearsed it, but when her lips touched his, the arrogance cracked. Heat, shock, something dangerously close to need surged through him. He pulled back, breath unsteady. His eyes searched hers, demanding an explanation she couldn't give. The room erupted. Scandalous. She dares. Perhaps she does love him. Victor's brittle hands clapped together once. A smile ghosted across his lips. "Good," he rasped. "For the first time, I see life in your eyes, Adrian. Maybe she's the one to save you from yourself." Adrian forced composure, though his chest still burned from the kiss. "Satisfied now, grandfather?" Victor coughed, nodded once. "For now. But remember, boy, true love will be tested." The orchestra resumed as if nothing had happened. Waiters passed trays. Guests pretended to sip champagne, but their eyes never left Elena. She felt their stares like daggers. The whispering grew again. "Cheap stunt. She'll drain his money. She doesn't belong." Her hands trembled, but she kept her chin high. Adrian leaned down, voice like ice. "That was reckless." Her glare cut back. "You asked me to play the role. I played it better than you expected." His jaw flexed, but he said nothing. An older cousin approached, smirking. "So, Mrs. Blackwell, tell us, how did you two meet?" The question sliced the air. Elena froze. She had no script, no lie prepared. Her mind scrambled. Adrian answered first, smooth as silk. "At the diner. She spilled coffee on my suit. I decided she was unforgettable." The cousin chuckled. "Unforgettable? Or untrainable?" Elena's nails dug into her palm, but she held the smile. Sometimes the messiest moments are the ones that matter most. "Oh?" A few guests shifted uncomfortably. She'd turned the mockery into poetry. Hours later, as the party dwindled, Adrian escorted her out. The cold night air hit her lungs like knives. The limo door shut behind them, sealing them in silence. Adrian finally spoke. "Don't ever improvise like that again." Elena folded her arms. "What did you expect me to do? Let them tear me apart? You don't understand the stakes." She leaned forward, fire in her voice. "No, Adrian. You don't understand mine. I'm not here just for your empire. I have my own rule." His brow furrowed. "Rule?" Her eyes locked on his, unwavering. "Yes, you can buy my time, my role, my silence. But you will never own my heart unless you earn it." The words lingered in the dim glow of the limo. For the first time, Adrian Blackwell was speechless. Back at the mansion, Victor watched from the window as the car drove away. His lips curved in a knowing smile. This one, he whispered to himself. She will break him, or save him. In the dark limo, Adrian's phone buzzed. A message lit the screen. Digging into Elena Carter. Found something you'll want to see. His chest tightened. He glanced at Elena, sitting proud, staring out the window. What secret was she hiding? And would it destroy them both? The limo glided through the sleeping city, headlights slicing the dark. Adrian's phone buzzed again. Another file arrived. He opened it, the glow from the screen lighting his face. Photos. Records. A hospital bill stamped in red. His eyes sharpened. Heart surgery. Unpaid. Charity covered the rest. A grainy photo appeared, Elena. Younger, exhausted, sitting in a clinic chair, a baby in her arms wrapped in a threadbare blanket. Jacob. Adrian's grip on the phone tightened. So this was the secret she never mentioned. Beside him, Elena sat silently, watching the streets roll past. She had no idea that her past was being laid bare before him. The tension pressed against the glass, heavy and suffocating. Finally, she broke the silence. Are you always this quiet, or only when you're trapped in a car with me? He snapped the phone shut, slid it into his pocket. Nothing you need to know. Her brow furrowed, but she said nothing more. At the Blackwell penthouse, Elena tucked Jacob into the guest room, a space bigger than their whole apartment. The boy's chest rose and fell peacefully, his dreams untouched by the weight his mother carried. She brushed his hair back, whispered softly, "We're safe now, baby, just for a little while." Her reflection in the window stared back at her, a waitress in a borrowed dress, playing the role of a millionaire's wife. How long before the mask cracked? In his study, Adrian reopened the files. More documents. Eviction notices. Employment history. Multiple jobs at once. She had clawed her way through life with nothing but desperation and grit. But to him, secrets were weapons, and weapons could not be ignored. His mind whispered, what else is she hiding? The next morning, the family gathered again at the estate. Victor was wheeled in, his breathing shallow but his eyes sharp. His voice cut through the chatter. A marriage built on lies will collapse. Girl, tell us, what secret are you keeping? Elena froze. Her hands tightened in her lap. The whispers around her grew louder. She's hiding something. She's not who she says she is. Her chest burned. Adrian stepped in, voice smooth as glass. Enough. You asked for a wife. I delivered. That's all that matters. Victor's gaze didn't leave Elena. A woman's truth always comes to light. Later, in the car, Elena turned on him, fury in her voice. Why didn't you defend me? Why do you let them tear me apart like that? Adrian's eyes were steel. Because you are hiding something. Her heart lurched. What are you talking about? I know about the hospital, the bills, the charity. What else haven't you told me? Her breath caught. Memories flooded back Jacob's tiny body, wires and machines, nights in waiting rooms praying he'd live. Tears welled. I didn't tell you because it's not your business. My son almost died, and I would scrub floors, sell my soul, do anything to keep him alive. That's my secret, my rule. Adrian's chest tightened, but his voice stayed cold. Secrets destroy empires, Elena. She glared through her tears. Number secrets reveal hearts, and maybe you don't have one. That night, while Jacob slept peacefully, Elena packed a small bag. Her hands shook as she folded his clothes. Her whisper cracked in the silence. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe we don't belong here. She reached for the door. It opened before she touched the handle. Adrian stood there, silent, watching, their eyes locked. Defiance burned in hers. Cold walls rose in his. Neither spoke. But the storm between them said everything. Finally, Adrian stepped forward. His voice was low, almost trembling. If you walk out that door, Elena, you'll never know what I found out about your son. Her blood ran cold. She turned slowly. What did you say? Adrian's eyes darkened. His words cut like a blade. Your boy isn't safe, and only I can protect him. Elena's heart stopped. Her fingers clenched the strap of her bag. What do you mean, Jacob isn't safe? Adrian's gaze was sharp, unreadable. Someone has been digging. Looking into your past, looking into him. Her throat went dry. Who? He shook his head. That doesn't matter. What matters is that they found something. And if they leak it, everything falls apart for you, for him, for us. Her voice cracked. Don't you dare drag my son into your games. Adrian's eyes hardened. This isn't a game. This is war. And in this family, every weakness is exploited. The next morning, Elena's worst fears came alive. Whispers spread across the estate before breakfast was even served. She has a sick child. She hid it from everyone. Pathetic. A liability. By the time Elena walked into the grand dining hall, every pair of eyes turned to her like knives. Her hands shook, but she forced herself to sit beside Adrian. Victor's voice carried across the table. So, the truth emerges. Elena's chest burned. My son is not a weakness. A cruel smile curved on one cousin's lips. No, he's leverage. Adrian slammed his hand on the table. Enough. The room went silent. His voice was cold steel. Anyone who touches the boy answers to me. But the damage was done. Elena could feel the judgment pressing down on her, crushing her breath. She rose from her chair, trembling. I never should have come here. Victor's voice stopped her. And yet, here you are. If you want this family's respect, girl, you'll have to fight for it. That evening, Adrian found her outside in the garden, clutching her phone, fighting tears. Elena, he said quietly. She spun on him. You used me. You dragged me into this circus, and now they're circling my son like vultures. His jaw tightened. I didn't leak the information. Then who did? He hesitated. His silence was answer enough. Her stomach dropped. Your family. Her hands shook. If they come near Jacob, I swear. They won't. His voice was sharp, cutting through her fear. I'll protect him. Her laugh was bitter. Protect him? You can't even protect me in that dining hall. Adrian stepped closer, his eyes fierce. You think I don't care? You think I don't see how they look at you? I've fought sharks in boardrooms, Elena. But you… He broke off, breath heavy. She blinked. But me what? He didn't answer. Instead, he turned away, fists clenched at his sides. Later that night, Jacob's laughter echoed faintly through the halls as he played with toy cars a maid had given him. Innocent, unaware. Elena watched from the doorway, tears blurring her vision. She whispered to herself, I can endure anything, but not if they hurt him. Behind her, Victor's shadow loomed. His voice, low and grave, reached her ear. You love your son. I respect that. But in this family, love is weakness, and weakness destroys. She turned, trembling. He's just a child. Victor's eyes glinted. Children grow, and when they do, they inherit either strength or ruin. Back in his study, Adrian poured a glass of whiskey, staring at the city lights below. His phone buzzed again. Another message, another file. Jacob's father, do you want the truth? His breath caught. His grip tightened on the glass until it cracked. Could it be? He glanced toward the hallway where Elena had disappeared with Jacob. His chest burned with questions he wasn't ready to ask. When he finally confronted her, the house was quiet. Jacob asleep, the halls empty. Adrian's voice was low, trembling with fury. Who is his father? Elena froze, her heart slamming in her chest. Why does that matter? Because someone out there thinks it does. And if I don't get answers, they'll use it to destroy us both. Her lips parted, but no words came. Memories surged, faces she'd buried. Mistakes she swore Jacob would never pay for. Tears stung her eyes. Adrian, please, don't ask me that. His hands slammed against the wall beside her. I need the truth. She shook her head, voice breaking. The truth will ruin everything. The silence between them stretched, heavy as stone. Finally, Adrian stepped back, his voice dark, cold, but trembling beneath. Then God help us all when it comes out. Elena's chest heaved, her world spinning. And in the darkness of the Blackwell estate, secrets long buried stirred, ready to tear them apart. The storm outside the estate mirrored the storm inside. Adrian's words still echoed in Elena's chest. Then God help us all when it comes out. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't sleep. She paced the guest room while Jacob slept soundly, his little hand curled around his toy car. Her secret pressed down like chains. If the truth surfaced, everything Jacob's safety, her fragile deal with Adrian, even her own dignity would shatter. Morning came. The Blackwell family gathered in the great hall again. This time, tension buzzed in the air like static before lightning. Victor's voice cut through the silence. Every secret comes to light, and I have decided it is time we test yours. Elena's stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" Adrian demanded, his jaw tight. Victor's frail smile was merciless. "Tonight, we host an auction. Business partners, politicians, the press. All eyes will be on this family, and all eyes will be on her." By evening, the estate transformed. Crystal chandeliers glowed. Velvet curtains framed the stage. Champagne flowed like rivers. Elena stood at the top of the marble staircase, wearing a dress chosen by Adrian's assistant. Elegant, yes, but to her it felt like armor, heavy and suffocating. Whispers filled the air as she descended. There she is, the poor single mother, unfit to be a Blackwell. Her every step felt like walking through fire. Adrian joined her at the bottom, his arm firm around her waist. To the crowd, they looked like a perfect couple. To her, it felt like chains. He bent close, whispering, "Stay quiet, do as I say, and maybe we'll survive this." Her jaw tightened. "Maybe you will." As the auction unfolded, Victor raised his glass. "Before we continue, I wish to present my grandson's wife, a woman who, I am told, carries secrets that may define our family's future." Gasps rippled through the room. Cameras flashed. Elena froze. Her blood turned to ice. Adrian's arm stiffened. His voice was low, warning. "Don't react. Not here." But Victor's next words sliced deeper. "Perhaps tonight she will share with us the truth about her child's father." The room erupted. Her son? Who is the father? Is it Adrian's or someone else's? Elena's heart pounded so loud it drowned out the noise. She wanted to scream, to run, but she stood rooted to the floor. Victor's eyes locked on her, daring her to speak. Adrian stepped forward, shielding her slightly. His voice was razor-sharp. "This is beneath even you, grandfather." But Victor only smiled. A family cannot be built on shadows. Later, after the crowd dispersed, Elena stormed into Adrian's study. Her voice cracked with fury. "How could you let him do that to me, in front of everyone?" Adrian's eyes blazed. "Don't you understand? He's forcing you because someone out there already knows. He's protecting his legacy, not humiliating you." Her chest heaved. "Protecting? You call that protection? Parading me like a liar?" Adrian slammed his fist against the desk. "Then end it! Tell me the truth about Jacob's father." How? Tears spilled from her eyes. "I can't." "Why not?" Her voice broke. "Because the truth will destroy everything I fought for." That night, Elena sat by Jacob's bedside, her fingers brushing his hair. She whispered to herself, "I kept you safe all these years. I can't lose you now." Jacob stirred, his sleepy voice soft. "Mom, why are you crying?" Her throat closed. "I'm not, baby. Go back to sleep." But her tears betrayed her. Meanwhile, Adrian met Victor in the library. "Why push her like this?" Adrian demanded. Victor's frail voice carried weight. "Because the boy is the key. His bloodline matters. And if his father is who I suspect, then everything changes." Adrian stiffened. "Who do you suspect?" Victor's gaze was cold. "Someone who should have never touched her. Someone whose name could burn this family to the ground." Adrian didn't sleep that night. He stood at the window, watching the city lights, his mind racing. He replayed every look in Elena's eyes, every hesitation, every tear she tried to hide. She was protecting Jacob with everything she had. But from who? Or from what? The next morning, the house buzzed with new whispers. An envelope had been delivered to the estate. No return address. Sealed in black wax. Adrian opened it in his study, his hands steady but his heart pounding. Inside, a single photograph. Elena, younger, standing beside a man whose face was turned slightly but recognizable enough. Adrian's blood ran cold. He knew that face. He whispered, almost choking on the words. "It can't be him." At that moment, Elena stepped into the study. Her eyes caught the photo in his hand. Her body froze. Her lips parted in silent terror. Adrian's gaze snapped to her, fury and betrayal colliding in his chest. "Elena, what have you done?" Adrian's hand shook as he held the photo. The man beside Elena, his jawline, his stance was burned into Adrian's memory. His voice was low, dangerous. "Tell me this isn't real." Elena's breath caught. Her lips trembled. She tried to speak, but no sound came. Adrian slammed the photo onto the desk. That's my brother." The words shattered the air. Elena's knees gave way, and she gripped the edge of a chair to keep from falling. Adrian's fury boiled over. "You had a child with him? With Marcus?" Her tears spilled before she could stop them. "It wasn't like that." "Then explain it." His roar echoed through the study. "Explain why the woman I brought into this family is hiding a child tied to my bloodline." Memories Elena had buried clawed their way back. Nights of desperation. Marcus's charming smile, his empty promises, his sudden disappearance. Her voice shook. "I didn't know who he really was. I didn't know he was your brother. I was young, scared, and alone. By the time I realized, he was gone." Adrian's chest heaved. His knuckles whitened as he gripped the desk. "You let me believe this was just a convenient arrangement, all while hiding that Jacob might be." His voice broke. "My nephew." The study door creaked. Victor's wheelchair rolled in. His eyes landed on the photo, and for the first time, the old man's mask cracked. "So it's true," he whispered. Adrian spun. "You knew?" Victor's silence was answer enough. Elena's voice rose, desperate. "Please, don't punish Jacob for Marcus's sins. He's innocent. He deserves better than this family's cruelty." Victor's gaze sharpened. "That boy carries Blackwell blood, and that makes him part of this family whether you like it or not." The whispers spread through the estate like wildfire. By noon, every guest, every cousin, every vulture in the Blackwell clan knew the truth. She trapped Marcus first. No wonder Adrian's furious. She's been playing them both. Elena couldn't walk through a hallway without feeling their eyes, their knives disguised as smiles. Jacob, blissfully unaware, played in the garden with his toy cars, his laughter piercing her breaking heart. That night, Adrian confronted her again in their private quarters. "You should have told me." Her voice cracked. "And if I had, would you have brought me here? Would you have let me stay? Or would you have torn Jacob from my arms?" Adrian's silence was heavy. She pressed on, her tears glistening. "I was protecting him. Not myself. Him." Adrian turned away, his voice cold. "And now you've placed him at the center of a war." Later, Victor summoned Adrian alone. In the library, the old man's eyes burned. "Do you understand what this means? If Jacob is Marcus's son, he is blood. He is heir." Adrian clenched his fists. "He's also a child, a pawn in Marcus's mess." Victor's frail hand slammed against the armrest. "This is bigger than you. Marcus was reckless, but his son could restore what he destroyed. That boy is the future of this family." Adrian's jaw tightened. He hated every word. But the truth gnawed at him. Jacob wasn't just Elena's son anymore. He was Blackwell. Meanwhile, Elena packed again. Her hands shook as she folded Jacob's clothes into a bag. She whispered through tears, "We can't stay. Not after this. I won't let them use you." But before she could lift the bag, Adrian's shadow filled the doorway. "You're not running." Elena spun, fire in her eyes. "Watch me." He stepped closer, voice low, dangerous. "If you take him away, they'll hunt you. They'll drag you through courts, tabloids, ruin your name until there's nothing left. Do you want that life for him?" Her chest heaved. "And what's the alternative? Let your grandfather chain him to this family's throne?" Adrian's eyes burned. "The alternative is trusting me." Her laugh was broken, bitter. "Trust you? The man who sees secrets as weapons? The man who looks at me and only sees a liar?" His voice cracked for the first time. "I see more than that. I see a woman who kissed me like she meant it. Who fought back when everyone tried to break her. And damn it, Elena, I see someone I can't ignore." Her tears blurred her vision. She wanted to believe him, but the walls around her heart were built from years of betrayal. The house was silent when Victor's voice echoed down the hall. "Adrian, Elena, bring the boy." Her blood ran cold. They stepped into the great hall, Jacob clutching Elena's hand, his toy car in the other. Victor looked at him as if he were examining a jewel. So, the child of Marcus, the blood of Blackwell. Elena held Jacob close. "He's not your heir. He's my son." Victor's eyes narrowed. "He is both." Adrian stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Enough. He's just a child." Victor's gaze pierced him. "You think I don't see it? You think I don't recognize my own blood in his eyes?" That boy will carry this family's name, whether you approve or not." Elena's tears spilled, her voice trembling. "Over my dead body." Victor leaned back, his frail lips curving into a cruel smile. "Then perhaps that's what it will take." Adrian froze. Elena gasped, and little Jacob squeezed her hand tighter, looking up at her with innocent eyes, unaware of the storm about to consume them all. The great hall felt colder than stone. Victor's words still hung in the air. "Then perhaps that's what it will take." Elena clutched Jacob tighter, her heart thundered. She wanted to scream, to shield him from every gaze in the room. Adrian stepped forward, voice like steel. "You will not threaten her." Victor's frail smile only deepened. "I don't make threats. I make promises." By morning, the entire estate buzzed with preparations. A press release had already been drafted. The Blackwell legacy. A new heir. Elena's hands shook as she read the leaked headline on her phone. They hadn't even asked her. They hadn't even asked Jacob. Her voice trembled. "He's just a boy. He doesn't understand any of this." Adrian's jaw tightened. "That's exactly why they want him. He can be molded, controlled." Her eyes flared. "Not by them. Not by you. Never." At breakfast, Victor announced it formally to the family. "Tonight, the world will know. Marcus may have abandoned his duties, but his son will restore honor to the Blackwell name." Aunt Cecilia's voice dripped with disdain. "So the bastard child of a waitress is to be heir? How poetic." Laughter rippled down the table. Elena rose to her feet, fury burning in her chest. "Call me what you want, but you will not mock my son." Her voice cracked, but her gaze never wavered. Adrian stood too, his hand firm on hers. For the first time, he didn't silence her. Victor's eyes gleamed. "Good. A mother lion. Let's see if you can roar when the cameras arrive." The estate filled with guests that night, business moguls, senators, journalists, all waiting to hear the announcement. Elena stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the suit jacket Victor's staff had chosen for Jacob. It was too big for his small frame. Tears blurred her reflection. "This isn't right. You're not their heir. You're my son." Jacob tugged her hand. "Do I have to go out there, Mom?" Her heart cracked. She knelt, pulling him into her arms. "If I could, I'd keep you hidden forever. But tonight, just stay close to me, no matter what happens." In the ballroom, flashbulbs exploded as Victor was wheeled to the stage. Adrian and Elena flanked Jacob, their hands tight on his shoulders. Victor's voice carried, frail but commanding. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the future of the Blackwell Empire, my great-grandson, Jacob." The crowd erupted. Applause, gasps, shouts. Reporters shouted questions. "Who is the mother? Is this Adrian's son? What about Marcus?" Elena's blood boiled. She wanted to grab Jacob and run, but the cameras locked her in place like chains. Victor lifted his hand. The room quieted. "This boy carries our blood, our name, our power, and he will be raised as a Blackwell." The applause thundered again, but Elena's voice broke through the noise. "Number." The crowd froze. Her words rang clear, sharp as glass. "You don't get to decide his life. I do." Gasps rippled. Reporters scribbled furiously. Victor's face darkened. "Elena," Adrian hissed under his breath. "Stop, not here." But she lifted her chin higher, her eyes blazing. "I will not let you steal him." Victor's fury burned through his frail body. "You think you can defy me? In my house?" Elena's voice shook, but her courage did not falter. "I think a mother fights for her child, and I will fight until my last breath." The room buzzed with scandal. Guests whispered. Investors frowned. Cameras captured every second. Adrian's chest tightened. He had spent his life controlling narratives, commanding boardrooms, silencing enemies. But here was Elena outnumbered, ridiculed, and still standing. And for the first time, he wasn't sure if he should silence her or stand beside her. The press swarmed as Victor's staff tried to usher Jacob away. Elena lunged, clutching him back. "No one touches my son." Reporters shouted louder. Cameras flashed. And through the chaos, a new voice cut the room in half. "Enough." Everyone turned. At the back of the ballroom, a man stepped forward. Tall, dark suit, familiar jawline. Adrian's blood turned to ice. Elena's breath caught. Because standing there, alive and unannounced, was the man they thought was gone. Marcus Blackwell. The ballroom froze. Every flashbulb halted mid-burst. Every whisper died on trembling lips. Marcus Blackwell stood at the doorway, alive, smirking, as if he'd walked straight out of the grave. Elena's knees nearly buckled. Her chest caved under the weight of old ghosts. Jacob clutched her hand tighter. "Mom, who's that man?" Her heart shattered. Adrian's jaw clenched, his voice a low growl. "Marcus." Victor's frail hands trembled on the armrests of his chair. His eyes, sharp despite age, widened. "You dare show your face here?" Marcus strolled forward, slow, deliberate, every step a challenge. "Why not, father? I heard you were announcing the heir tonight. I thought it only fitting the true father should attend." Gasps tore through the crowd. Reporters erupted. The boy is his? Marcus Blackwell's son? Was Elena his mistress? Elena's skin burned. Cameras devoured her shame. Adrian stepped in front of her, his body a shield, his voice cut like glass. "You don't belong here," Marcus chuckled. "I see my little brother still playing knight, always protecting what isn't his." Adrian's fist nearly flew, but Victor's voice cracked through the air. "Enough!" The room stilled. Victor's gaze locked on Marcus. "You abandoned this family. You disgraced this name. And now you dare claim the boy?" Marcus smirked. "Abandoned? Or cast out? You never wanted me. You wanted perfection. You got Adrian. You got your empire. And I made my own mistakes." He looked at Jacob. His expression softened for a fleeting second. "But that boy is mine, my blood, my son." Elena's breath broke. She shook her head, voice trembling. "Number, you don't get to walk back into our lives and call yourself his father. You were gone when he needed you most." Marcus's jaw tightened. "I didn't know. You never told me." Tears stung her eyes. "I begged you for help. You vanished." "I raised him alone." The crowd devoured every word. The whispers, the judgment, the pity it all swirled around her like poison. Adrian's fury erupted. He stepped between Marcus and Elena. "You will not touch him. You will not claim him. You forfeited that right the day you left." Marcus sneered. "And what are you now, Adrian? His protector? His uncle playing father?" The word cut deep, sharper than any blade. Adrian's fists clenched. He wanted to break Marcus in half. But Victor's cough silenced him. The old man's voice was grave. "This is no longer about mistakes. This is about legacy. The boy is Blackwell. That is all that matters." Elena's tears spilled freely now. "He's not your heir. He's not your pawn. He's my son." Victor's cold eyes pierced her. "You don't understand, girl. Blackwell blood belongs to Blackwell destiny." Marcus took a step closer, his smile venomous. "So what will it be, father? Crown the boy? Or crown the brother who returned from exile?" The air grew suffocating. Reporters leaned forward, pens scratching furiously. Adrian's voice thundered. "Neither. The empire is mine, not yours, not his, mine." Victor's lips curled. "Mine to decide." The chaos spilled outside. By midnight, headlines roared. Blackwell scandal. Secret son revealed. Marcus Blackwell returns from the dead. Mother caught between two brothers. Elena sat in the dark of Jacob's room, clutching him close, shielding him from the storm. His small voice whispered against her chest. "Mom, am I in trouble?" Her tears wet his hair. "No, baby. Not you. Never you." But in her heart, she knew. The storm was only beginning. Adrian found her hours later. He stood in the doorway, his voice low. "He can't take Jacob. I won't let him." Elena's voice cracked. "And how will you stop him? With money? With power?" "That's the same poison tearing this family apart." He stepped closer. His hand hovered near hers but didn't touch. "Not with power, with me. I swear, Elena, I'll fight for him. For you." Her eyes searched his, desperate to find truth. "Why? Why now?" His voice faltered, barely above a whisper. "Because I can't watch you fight this alone anymore." Before she could answer, the door burst open. Marcus stood there, eyes burning. "He's my son, Elena. You can't hide him from me." Her blood froze. Jacob stirred awake, his sleepy eyes blinking at the man in the doorway. "Mom, who is he?" Elena's world shattered. She couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe. And Marcus's next words split the night in two. "I'm your father." The words hung in the air like a blade. "I'm your father." Jacob blinked, confusion clouding his sleepy eyes. He looked up at Elena. "Mom, is it true?" Her heart cracked in two. Her lips trembled, but no words came. Marcus stepped forward, voice soft, coaxing. "Yes, son, it's true. You have my eyes, my blood. You're mine." Elena clutched Jacob tighter, her voice breaking. "Don't listen. He abandoned us. He doesn't get to walk in here and claim you." Adrian's fury exploded. He shoved Marcus back, his voice a roar. "You don't deserve to call yourself his father." Marcus smirked, brushing off his suit. "And you? What are you, Adrian? His protector? His replacement? You've always wanted what was mine, now you're even stealing my son." The accusation hit like a slap. Elena's breath caught. Adrian's fists clenched, ready to strike. But Jacob's small voice stopped them both. "Stop yelling." The room fell silent. His innocent eyes darted between them. "I don't want to be anyone's pawn. I just want Mom." Victor's voice echoed from the hallway, cold and commanding. "And yet, boy, you will be more than that. You will be Blackwell." Victor wheeled into the room, his presence suffocating. Elena's voice shook with rage. "He's not yours. He's not your heir." Victor's frail lips curled into a smile. "Blood decides destiny. And his blood is mine." The following days turned the estate into a battlefield. Lawyers arrived, contracts drawn, paparazzi swarmed the gates. Headlines screamed scandal. 2 brothers, 1 heir. Who will claim the Blackwell legacy? Mother trapped in family war. Elena couldn't step outside without flashes blinding her. Microphones shoved in her face. Who is the father? Are you using Jacob for money? Are you playing both brothers? Her hands shook. She shielded Jacob, whispering, "Don't look, baby. Just keep walking." Inside, Marcus cornered her. "Elena, listen to me. I know I failed you. I know I left. But I want to make it right. Let me be his father." Her tears spilled. "You had your chance. When he was sick, when I begged for help, you weren't there. You don't get to rewrite the past." Marcus's voice broke, raw and desperate. "I didn't know. If I had—" Her fury flared. "If you had, would you have stayed? Or would you have run like always?" His silence was answer enough. That night, Adrian found her in the garden, trembling under the moonlight. "Elena," he said softly. She didn't turn. Her voice was hollow. "They're tearing him apart. Marcus, Victor, the press. Even you. He's just a child." Adrian's chest tightened. He stepped closer. "I'm not your enemy." She turned, her eyes red with tears. "Then prove it. Stop fighting for power. Start fighting for him." His breath caught. For once, he didn't have a strategy, a plan, or a weapon. Only truth. "I already am." The next day, Victor summoned them all. The great hall filled with the family, lawyers, and cameras. Victor's voice carried across the marble. "Enough secrets. Enough lies. Tonight, the boy's future will be decided. He is Marcus's blood, but Adrian has raised him in these halls. The world must see who deserves him." Elena's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" Victor's smile was cruel. "A test. The boy will choose, between his father, his uncle, or you." Gasps filled the room. Jacob's eyes widened, fear flooding his small face. "I don't want to choose." Elena clutched him tight. "You won't. Not like this." Victor's gaze burned. "He will, or you lose him forever." The cameras flashed. The family leaned forward. Adrian's jaw locked. Marcus's eyes gleamed. And Elena, shaking, whispered in Jacob's ear, "Whatever happens, know this, you are mine. You'll always be mine." Tears streaked down his cheeks as he looked between the men. The room held its breath, and Jacob's trembling voice broke the silence. "I choose." The ballroom was silent. Every camera, every eye, every breath waited for the boy's answer. Jacob's small body trembled as he clutched his toy car. His lips quivered. "I choose." Elena's heart pounded like thunder. Adrian's chest tightened. Marcus leaned forward with a smirk, certain of victory. But Jacob's next words cracked the marble silence. "I choose Mom." The hall gasped. Reporters erupted. Victor's hand slammed the armrest of his wheelchair. No, not her. The boy cannot belong to weakness. Elena's tears spilled as she wrapped her arms around Jacob. You did it, baby. You told them the truth. Marcus's smile vanished. Jacob, wait. The boy shook his head, his voice stronger this time. I don't want money. I don't want power. I just want Mom. The crowd roared with whispers. Headlines wrote themselves in real time. Victor's fury turned the air to ice. His voice thundered. You think this is a game, Elena? You've poisoned him against us? Elena stood tall, her son in her arms. Number, you did that yourselves. He's not a pawn, he's a child, and he's mine. Marcus stepped forward, desperate. Jacob, please. I can give you a life your mother never could. Mansions, travel, power. But Jacob's reply sliced him down. I don't need that. I just need someone who doesn't leave. Marcus's face crumbled. Adrian's eyes burned, not with fury, but with something deeper. He looked at Elena, her trembling hands, her tears, her strength, and for the first time, he saw the unshakable truth. She wasn't weak. She was unbreakable. He turned to Victor, his voice steady, commanding. Enough. You can't force him. You can't rewrite his heart. He chose her, and I stand with him. The crowd erupted again, this time not with scandal but with shock. Adrian, the heir, defying his grandfather on live television. Victor's eyes blazed. You would betray your bloodline for her? Adrian's voice was steel. I would betray your empire before I let you destroy them. The words struck like thunder. The old man trembled with rage. His frail hand shook as he pointed at Elena. Then you're all enemies of this house. Gasps. Shouts. Chaos. Reporters scrambled. Family members argued. Lawyers whispered frantically. Elena held Jacob tighter, whispering into his hair. It's okay, baby. It's okay. Oh. But her heart knew it was far from over. Later, the headlines blared across every screen. Blackwell heir defies patriarch. Child chooses mother over fortune. Empire in crisis. The city devoured the scandal. Stocks wavered. Politicians backed away. Enemies circled like wolves. And inside the estate, war was declared. Victor summoned Marcus privately. His voice was low, venomous. If Adrian will not bend, then you must. We will take the boy, with or without her. Marcus hesitated. His eyes flickered with doubt. But Victor's words were chains around his neck. Do you want your place back in this family? Prove it. Take your son. Meanwhile, Adrian found Elena in Jacob's room. She sat at the edge of the bed, stroking her son's hair as he slept. Her eyes lifted to Adrian, filled with exhaustion and pain. He's just a little boy, and they're tearing him apart. Adrian knelt beside her, his hand brushing hers. Then we fight, together. No more lies, no more secrets, just us. Her lips trembled. She wanted to trust him. She wanted to believe this cold, ruthless man could stand beside her. But before she could answer, Jacob stirred, mumbling in his sleep. Don't let them take me, Mom. Elena's tears spilled. I won't, baby, I promise. At dawn, Adrian stood on the balcony, staring over the city. His phone buzzed an encrypted message. He opened it. A single sentence chilled him to the bone. Victor is moving tonight. He will take the boy. His grip tightened. His mind raced. And for the first time in his life, Adrian Blackwell realized he might lose everything unless he chose love over legacy. The sun rose over the Blackwell estate, gilding its towers in gold. Inside, a mother held her son close. A brother prepared for war. And an old patriarch plotted his final move. The stage was set. The battle for Jacob had only just begun. Night fell heavy over the Blackwell estate. The grand halls, once filled with laughter and music, now echoed only with whispers of war. Elena lay awake in Jacob's room, clutching his small hand. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow outside the window made her heart race. Her promise repeated in her head like a vow, "They will not take you, not while I breathe." Downstairs, Victor plotted. His study glowed with lamplight as men in suits gathered around him. Lawyers, security heads, family loyalists. Victor's frail voice cut the air. Adrian has betrayed me. The mother has corrupted the boy. Tonight, we reclaim what is ours. Marcus leaned against the wall, arms crossed. His face was pale, torn between duty and guilt. Victor's eyes burned. Do you want redemption, Marcus? Do you want your place back in this family? Marcus's silence was heavy. Victor's lips curled. Then bring me your son. Upstairs, Adrian paced the balcony outside his quarters, phone still in hand. The warning replayed in his mind. Victor is moving tonight. He couldn't afford to wait. Slamming the glass door open, he stormed into Jacob's room. Elena sat up, startled, clutching her son. Adrian's voice was urgent, sharp. Pack your things, now. Her eyes widened. What's happening? They're coming for him. Tonight. Her breath caught, her body trembling. Number? No, I won't let them. Adrian grabbed her shoulders, his grip firm but not cruel. Then trust me. For once, Elena. Trust me to get you both out. Minutes later, they rushed down a hidden passage Adrian had discovered years ago, a tunnel carved beneath the estate for emergencies. Jacob clutched his toy car in one hand and his mother's hand in the other. His small voice whispered, Mom, are we running away? Her tears stung. Yes, baby. But Mommy's right here. Don't be afraid. Adrian led the way, his phone buzzing with updates. But then the tunnel lights flickered, and shadows appeared at the other end. Victor's men, armed, waiting. Go back, Adrian hissed. They turned, but footsteps thundered behind them. The tunnel was a trap. Victor's voice echoed through hidden speakers. You thought you could escape me? Foolish boy. You think love makes you strong, Adrian? Love makes you weak. Elena's heart slammed. She pulled Jacob into her arms. Don't listen, don't look. Adrian stood tall, fury blazing. You'll never touch them. Victor's cold laughter filled the tunnel. They're already mine. At the far end, Marcus stepped out of the shadows. His face was torn, sweat glistening on his brow. Elena's breath caught. Marcus, no. He raised his hands. I don't want to hurt you, but he's my son. I can't walk away again. Jacob whimpered. Mom. Elena's tears fell hot and fast. You had your chance. Years of silence, do you call that fatherhood? Marcus's eyes flickered with shame. But Victor's command boomed from the speaker. Bring me the boy. Adrian's fury snapped. He shoved Marcus against the tunnel wall, voice like fire. You lay one hand on him and I swear. Marcus shoved back, rage and guilt colliding. You don't get to steal him from me. The two brothers clashed, fists and fury echoing in the narrow passage. Elena screamed, clutching Jacob tighter, shielding his eyes from the violence. The boy sobbed into her chest. Mom, stop them, please. Her voice broke. I can't. Finally, Adrian's fist landed hard. Marcus staggered, blood on his lip. But his eyes, his broken, desperate eyes, met Elena's. I just wanted one more chance. Her heart twisted. For a fleeting second, she saw not the arrogant heir, but a man drowning in regret. But then she pulled Jacob closer, whispering fiercely, A real father doesn't need a second chance. He stays the first time. Marcus's breath hitched. His shoulders slumped. And for once, he didn't fight back. Adrian grabbed Elena's hand. Come on! They sprinted through a side passage, emerging into the night garden. But even there, Victor's men closed in. Searchlights flared. Voices shouted. Don't let them leave. Elena's heart pounded. She lifted Jacob into her arms, running faster than she ever thought possible. Her lungs burned. Her legs shook. But she would not stop. Adrian shouted behind her. This way! They reached the iron gates only to find them locked, guards blocking the path. Victor's car rolled up, black and gleaming. The old man emerged, his frail body supported by aides, but his eyes alive with fire. End this madness, he barked. Elena clutched Jacob, trembling. Stay back. Victor raised a hand. The guards froze. His voice was low, deliberate. Boy. Come to me. Jacob buried his face into Elena's shoulder. No! I want Mom! Victor's face hardened. Then take them. The guards advanced. Elena screamed, holding Jacob tighter. Adrian charged, fighting them off, fists flying, rage unchained. Blood, shouts, chaos. But they were outnumbered. A guard tore Jacob from Elena's arms. Her scream split the night. No! Jacob! The boy cried, reaching back, his small hands clawing for his mother. Mom, don't let go. Adrian's roar shook the estate. Give him back! But Victor's cold smile cut through the chaos. At last, he whispered, the heir is mine. Oh! Elena's scream echoed through the night garden, tearing through the walls of the Blackwell estate. Her arms clawed the empty air where Jacob had been, her chest collapsing in agony. Jacob! The boy's cries answered back, muffled in the arms of Victor's guards. His small hands reached for her, his voice broken. Mom! Please! Don't let them take me! Her knees buckled, slamming into the gravel, but her soul refused to collapse. Give him back, she sobbed. Victor stood tall despite his frail body, lit by the cold glow of the searchlights. His voice was venom, slicing through the chaos. Enough weakness. The boy belongs to the Blackwells, not to a waitress, not to a broken woman clinging to scraps of dignity. The words pierced her like knives. The humiliation burned as dozens of eyes, guards, staff, distant paparazzi watched her crumble. But her trembling hands gripped the earth, forcing herself upright. Her voice cracked, but it carried. You can take him from my arms, but you will never own him. Victor's smile was cruel. We'll see. Adrian fought like a man possessed, fists bloodied, body bruised. But every blow only bought seconds. A guard slammed him to the ground, twisting his arms. Another boot pressed against his chest. Still, he roared through clenched teeth. Jacob stays with her? Do you hear me? He stays with her. But Victor leaned close. His whisper meant for Adrian alone. Your loyalty to her will be your ruin. You were meant to be my heir. Now you'll be nothing. Marcus hovered at the edges, torn between guilt and ambition. His fists clenched as he watched his son scream for his mother. But Victor's promise still echoed in his ears. Bring me the boy. Redeem yourself. He stepped forward. Elena's eyes snapped to his, wild and broken. Don't you dare, she spat. Her voice cracked, raw with fury. You don't get to touch him. Not now. Not after everything. Marcus faltered. For the first time in years, shame twisted deeper than pride. But Victor's command thundered. Take him, Marcus. Elena's body shook, her tears blinding, but something inside her broke open. She rose to her feet, her voice fierce, shaking the night. Number, you will not have him. Not you, not Marcus, not this empire. He is not a Blackwell pawn, he is my son. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Even the guards hesitated. Victor's eyes narrowed. Bold words. But words won't stop me. Adrian, blood dripping down his face, forced himself up despite the guards pinning him. His voice thundered. She's right. You want to talk about legacy? About empire? You've built nothing but chains. But Elena, she built life out of nothing. That's power you'll never understand. Victor's glare seared him. You think love makes her strong? Love makes her weak. Adrian's voice cut like steel. Number love makes her unstoppable. Elena stepped forward, trembling but unbroken. She looked directly at Victor, her voice steady now. You see weakness because you've never known sacrifice. You see shame because you've never carried pain. But I have. I fought through nights in hospital rooms. I begged strangers to save my child's life. I scrubbed floors until my hands bled, and I did it without your empire, without your money, without you. Her tears glistened, but her voice rose stronger. You can call me poor, you can call me nothing, but don't you dare call me weak. Silence gripped the garden. Even the guards lowered their eyes. For the first time, Victor's mask cracked. His jaw tightened, his hands trembling. But his pride roared louder than truth. She's manipulating you all. Don't forget this boy carries Blackwell blood, and I will have him. Marcus finally spoke, his voice raw, breaking. And if he doesn't want you? If he doesn't want me? What then, father? Victor's gaze snapped to him, sharp and merciless. Then you force him, because Blackwells take what they are owed. The words hung heavy, poisoned, undeniable. Elena's stomach turned, her voice shook with horror. That's what you teach your family? To steal, to cage, to destroy? Victor's cold smile answered for him. Jacob's cries pierced the night again, desperate, terrified. Mom! I want Mom! The guards tightened their grip. Something inside Elena snapped. Her scream tore from her chest, primal and fierce. She charged forward, clawing, striking, teeth gritted with fire. Let him go! The guards stumbled under her fury. Adrian broke free, surging beside her, his fists blazing. Together, they ripped through the wall of bodies. Jacob's small arms flung around Elena's neck as she caught him, sobbing into his hair. "I've got you, baby. I've got you." Victor's face twisted with rage, his frail body shaking. "You think this changes anything? You've won nothing tonight." Elena held Jacob close, her voice clear and defiant. "I've won everything, because I still have him, and as long as I do, you'll never break me." Victor's chest heaved, his voice cracking with fury. "Then I will break you another way. You've made an enemy of the Blackwells. And I promise, Elena, you will regret it." The garden fell silent, the storm pausing for breath. Elena stood with Jacob in her arms, Adrian at her side, Marcus broken in the shadows, and Victor, trembling but unyielding, declared the war was far from over. The night had been hers, but the Empire would strike again. Morning came, but peace did not. The Blackwell estate sat under siege, not by guards this time, but by cameras, microphones, and headlines blazing across every screen. Waitress manipulates heir apparent. Single mother, exposed in Blackwell legacy scandal. Is the child truly a Blackwell? Elena's face, tear-streaked from the night before, filled every tabloid cover. Her arms around Jacob, frozen in one desperate photograph, became the symbol of a storm she never asked for. Inside, Jacob clung to her tightly. "Mom, why are they saying those things? Why are they calling you names?" Her heart cracked. She stroked his hair, forcing a smile. "Because they don't know the truth, baby. But we do. That's what matters." But when she met Adrian's eyes across the room, she saw the storm he couldn't hide. "They're coming harder this time," he said, voice low. "Victor has lawyers, journalists, politicians in his pocket. He'll paint you as unstable, dangerous, unfit." "Oak." Elena's stomach twisted. "He's going to try to take Jacob legally." Adrian nodded grimly. "And in the court of public opinion, he's already winning." Victor's press conference aired that afternoon. The old man sat regal in his wheelchair, flanked by lawyers and Marcus at his side. His voice, though frail, carried poison across the airwaves. "My grandson was nearly abducted last night by a desperate woman. Elena Carter is not family. She is a manipulator who has deceived us all. For the boy's safety, I will pursue full guardianship. The Blackwell name must be protected." Flashes roared, reporters scribbled, and Marcus, his face hollow, unreadable, stood silent as the world believed Victor's lies. Elena watched from the living room television, Jacob asleep in her lap. Her blood boiled. "He calls me a kidnapper? After tearing him out of my arms?" Adrian slammed the remote on the table. "He controls the story. That's his greatest weapon." Elena's voice shook with anger and despair. "Then how do I fight him? I don't have money. I don't have power. All I have is Jacob." Adrian's eyes softened, but his voice stayed firm. "Then we use what we do have, the truth, and we put it where he can't bury it." By evening, reporters swarmed outside the gates. Elena stepped out, her knees trembling, cameras exploding in her face. Questions hurled like stones. "Are you using your son for fortune? Did you trap Adrian Blackwell with a fake marriage? Are you mentally unstable?" Her chest caved, her palms sweaty, but then Jacob's small voice echoed in her memory. "Don't let them take me, Mom." And she stood taller. Her voice rang out, trembling but clear. "My name is Elena Carter. I am not a manipulator. I am a mother. And every lie Victor Blackwell spreads is just another attempt to steal what is mine, my child." Gasps, flashes, murmurs. She swallowed her fear and pressed on. "You want to know who raised Jacob when he was sick? Who sat by his hospital bed when doctors gave up? Who worked 3 jobs to keep him alive? Me. Not the Blackwells. Not Marcus. Me." The crowd erupted in chaos. Some reporters shouted harder. Others fell silent. Adrian stepped beside her, placing a steady hand at her back. His voice boomed for all to hear. "And I stand with her. Every word she says is truth." The shock rippled. The heir himself defying Victor again, this time publicly. But inside the estate, Victor seethed, his knuckles white on the armrest of his chair. "She thinks her voice can outweigh mine? Then let the courts silence her forever." The next day, legal papers arrived. Guardianship hearings, custody battles, charges of unfit motherhood. Elena's world spun as she read the accusations. Unstable, financially incapable, reckless. Her hands shook as the pages blurred with tears. "They're trying to erase me, to erase everything I am." Adrian gripped her shoulders. "Then we fight, with every witness, every record, every truth you've lived. We'll put it all on the stand." But her voice broke. "Victor owns the court before we even walk in." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Then we don't just fight in court. We fight in the light. We let the world see. The Elena I see." But the world was merciless. Tabloids ran smear campaigns. Old acquaintances were paid to speak against her. Anonymous tips painted her as violent, unstable, unworthy. At the grocery store, strangers whispered. At Jacob's school, parents stared. And one afternoon, Jacob himself came home crying. "They said you're a liar, Mom. They said I'd be better off without you." Elena's knees buckled. She pulled him close, rocking him, tears soaking his hair. "You listen to me," she whispered fiercely. "You are my heart, my soul. And nothing, no lie, no court, no empire, will ever take you from me." But alone that night, when Jacob finally slept, Elena's facade crumbled. Her hands trembled as she whispered into the darkness. "How do I fight a man who owns the world?" And from the shadows, Adrian's voice answered. "You don't fight him alone." She looked up, startled. Adrian stepped into the moonlight, his face fierce, resolute. "You have me, and together we'll tear down his empire, brick by brick." Across the estate, Victor watched the news replay Elena's speech, fury boiling in his veins. But when the cameras cut to Jacob's tear-streaked face clinging to his mother, something flickered deep inside him. A moment of doubt, a whisper of conscience. He crushed it instantly. "No," he hissed to himself. "The boy is mine, and I will destroy her to prove it." The war had moved from shadows to the stage. And Elena, for the first time, had stepped onto it, not as prey, but as a fighter. But Victor was ready to strike harder than ever. And the world would watch as a mother and a dynasty collided in the battle for one boy's soul. The courthouse towered over Elena like a fortress built to swallow her whole. Reporters swarmed the marble steps, cameras flashing, microphones thrust in her face as she clutched Jacob's hand. "Do you think you'll lose custody? Are you fit to raise a Blackwell heir? Did you manipulate Adrian into this marriage?" Her heart raced, her stomach knotted, but she kept her chin high, her voice steady for Jacob's sake. "Stay close to me, baby. Don't let go." Adrian flanked them, his jaw tight, his hand hovering protectively near her back. His voice rumbled low. "Ignore them. Just keep walking." Inside, the courtroom was packed. The press lined the benches, notebooks ready to capture her fall. At the front sat Victor, draped in authority, his lawyers gleaming in tailored suits. Beside him sat Marcus, eyes downcast, trapped between duty and guilt. And across the aisle, Elena took her seat, Jacob beside her, Adrian at her shoulder. The judge entered. The room rose. The battle began. Victor's attorney, a man with ice in his veins, stood first. "Your Honor, this case is about stability, safety, and the future of a child who carries the Blackwell name. Elena Carter is unfit. She is financially unstable, emotionally volatile, and has a history of poor judgment. We will show she endangers her son." Whispers rippled through the courtroom. Elena's fists clenched beneath the table. The lawyer smirked, sliding photographs across the bench for the judge to see. Images of Elena exhausted at work, crying outside the hospital. Even one where she raised her voice at a reporter twisted into a false narrative. "Is this the face of stability?" he asked coldly. Elena's stomach churned. Her own lawyer rose to respond, but Victor's side came prepared. Witness after witness paraded forward. A neighbor paid to claim Elena left Jacob alone. A former employer bribed to say she was reckless. A doctor coerced into suggesting she ignored medical advice. Each lie landed like a blow. Elena's voice cracked as she whispered to Adrian, "They're burying me alive." Adrian's hand squeezed hers under the table. "Hold on, we'll turn this." But even his eyes betrayed the storm raging inside. When it was her turn to take the stand, Elena's knees trembled. She swore the oath, her voice shaking. She looked out at the sea of faces, reporters hungry for scandal, Victor's cold stare, Jacob's small, anxious eyes. Her voice quivered but grew steady. "I am not perfect. I have struggled. I have cried. But I have never failed my son. I worked 3 jobs to keep him alive. I begged strangers for help when I couldn't pay hospital bills. I carried him through every fever, every night of fear. And I would do it all again, because being his mother is not just my duty, it's my life. Tears shimmered in Jacob's eyes. She's telling the truth, he whispered, too soft for the judge but loud enough for Elena's heart. Victor's lawyer rose again, circling her like a predator. Miss Carter, he said, voice dripping disdain, is it true you once shouted at a nurse during your son's treatment? Elena's throat tightened. I was terrified. He was dying, and no one was helping him. The lawyer smirked. So you admit to being volatile? Whispers swelled again. Her cheeks burned. He pressed on. Is it true you accepted money from strangers to pay his bills? That you took charity because you could not provide yourself? Her voice broke. Yes, I did whatever it took to save him. The lawyer turned to the judge with triumph. Desperation, instability, proof she cannot provide. Victor's eyes gleamed. Satisfaction etched into every wrinkle. But then Adrian rose. The room stilled. He strode to the front, his voice steady, his presence commanding. Yes, Elena shouted when her son was dying. Because she was the only one fighting for him. Yes, she accepted charity. Because unlike the Blackwells, she didn't abandon him. She kept him alive without a fortune, without a family, without us. Gasps, Ichoed. Cameras flashed. Adrian's gaze locked on Victor. You talk of stability. But what is more stable than a mother's love? What empire has more power than the strength of a woman who will bleed before she lets go of her child? Elena's tears flowed, not from humiliation now, but from something stronger, vindication. But the judge's gavel cut through the emotion. Order. The fight was far from over. Victor's lawyer smirked, leaning close to whisper across the aisle. His words meant only for Elena. You'll lose him. Maybe not today. But soon. Because we don't need truth, we have power. Her breath caught, fury and fear colliding. But when she turned to Jacob and saw his small, determined face, something inside her solidified. No, she whispered back, steady now. I will not lose him. Not ever. Outside, the press swarmed as the first day adjourned. Victor's camp declared victory. It's only a matter of time before the boy is safe under Blackwell guardianship. But Elena, standing tall with Adrian at her side, faced the cameras. You can twist my past. You can drag my name. But I will never stop fighting for my son, because love is stronger than money, and truth is louder than lies. The crowd erupted, some in support, some in doubt. But one thing was clear. The war was not just in the courtroom now. It was in the streets, the headlines, the hearts of everyone watching. And Victor, watching from the back of his limousine, muttered coldly, "She thinks love will save her. She has no idea what's coming." The car disappeared into the night, carrying with it the promise of darker weapons yet to come. The second day of court began under storm clouds. Reporters crowded the marble steps again, their voices buzzing with predictions. Victor Blackwell will crush her today. The boy will be stripped from his mother. Elena Carter is finished. Oh. Inside, Elena sat rigid at the defense table, her hands clenched together so tightly her knuckles burned. Jacob was not allowed in the courtroom today, to shield him from trauma, but she knew the truth. Victor wanted to break her without her son's eyes giving her strength. Adrian leaned close, his whisper steady in her ear. No matter what happens today, I'm with you, all the way. She nodded, but her stomach churned with dread. Victor's lawyer struck first, his voice sharp as steel. Your Honor, new evidence has come to light. Bank records, text messages, proof that Elena Carter attempted to sell access to her son for financial gain. Gasps filled the courtroom. Reporters scribbled furiously. The lawyer waved the documents like a trophy. She claims to be a mother fighting for love, but in truth, she sought to exploit her child's bloodline for money. Elena's chest caved. Her voice cracked. That's not true. Those messages, they're fabricated. The lawyer sneered. Convenient denial. But the paper trail speaks louder. Victor's eyes glowed with triumph, his frail hand gripping the armrest of his chair. The judge's frown deepened. Miss Carter, these are serious allegations. Elena's tears blurred her vision. Her heart hammered. This was it. This was how they would take Jacob. And then, from the witness benches, a voice cut through the silence. Enough. Marcus stood, his body trembling, his face pale but resolute. Victor's head snapped toward him. "Sit down." But Marcus didn't. His voice cracked, loud enough for all to hear. "The evidence, it's fake. Father paid me to help frame her." The courtroom erupted, reporters shouted. The judge slammed the gavel for silence. Elena froze, her breath stolen. Marcus's eyes burned with shame as he looked at her. "I wanted to be part of my son's life. I thought siding with father would give me that chance. But all I've done is destroy him. And destroy you. I can't," his voice broke. "I can't keep lying." He turned to the judge, voice shaking. "Elena never sold her son. She never abandoned him. The only person who abandoned Jacob was me." Victor's face twisted, fury pouring from every line. "You ungrateful coward," but Marcus shouted over him. "The truth is, she raised him alone. She saved him when I walked away. She fought for him when this family refused. And if anyone deserves to raise Jacob, it's her." Elena's tears spilled freely. For the first time, she saw Marcus not as a rival, not as Victor's weapon, but as a broken man finally choosing truth. The judge's eyes darkened as she turned to Victor's lawyers. "Is there any explanation for this revelation?" The attorney stammered, caught off guard. "Your Honor, these claims—" But Marcus cut in. "Check the accounts, the payments are there. Father's bribes, his orders." The courtroom buzzed with chaos. Victor rose suddenly, his frail body trembling, his voice venom. "You think this woman is strength? She is poverty. She is weakness. She is nothing. And if this court hands my heir to her, then the Blackwell name will be dragged into the gutter forever." His words thundered across the chamber. But Adrian stood, his voice steady, cutting through like a blade. "Number. What drags our name into the gutter is your cruelty, your lies, your empire of control." He moved to Elena's side, his hand gripping hers. "This woman has more strength than every Blackwell combined. She built life out of ashes. She raised a son without fortune, without power, without help. And if legacy means anything, it should mean him growing up with love, not locked in your cage." Silence fell. The judge's gavel struck once, sharp and final. "This court has heard enough. Guardianship will remain with Elena Carter. The case for Blackwell custody is dismissed." The words rang like church bells. Elena gasped, her body trembling, tears streaming down her face. Adrian pulled her close, holding her upright as the weight of months of fear lifted. Victor's face contorted with rage. "You can't, this isn't over." But the bailiffs moved in, escorting him out as reporters surged with questions, flashes blinding. Outside, the courthouse steps transformed into a stage. Elena emerged, Jacob rushing into her arms as soon as the doors opened. He clung to her, his small voice muffled against her chest. "Mom, are we okay?" She kissed his hair, whispering through tears. "We're okay, baby. We're free." The cameras roared, the questions rained down, but for once she didn't shrink. She lifted her head high, her voice steady. "I am Elena Carter. I am not perfect. I am not rich. But I am a mother. And today, the truth won. Today, love won." The crowd fell into stunned silence before erupting into applause. Victor's limousine sped away in the distance, his shadow still looming, his fury promising he wasn't finished. But for Elena, for Jacob, for Adrian, standing at their side, this was victory. Not the end of every battle, but the proof that even against empires, even against lies, love could not be broken. The camera would fade here. A mother holding her child. A man who chose love over legacy. And an empire left shaking. The story of Elena Carter, the poor single mom who defied billionaires, would live on, not as scandal, but as hope.